All right, welcome to the SPED Talk on Swift Mapkit by Corbin Lenning. Here in the picture, we see a 2-point location, St. Louis and Kansas City, and we have a actual direction route drawn for there on the blue line. So we're going to learn a little bit more about how to do this. And first, we're going to talk about these different classes or implementations that we need to work with in order to get that to appear. We need to talk about place marks, map items, direction requests, directions, polyline, and then something I'll be using in my thing that's a really cool feature is what we call the distance formatter. So as we can see, here's the place mark for the map view. In this, we need this place mark requires two things, a longitude, latitude, and that's what creates a location coordinate 2D. And we either going to take the user's location, which will have these two points, or we'll create it based off of the item that we are searching. We can either get that through an actual search bar and pulling that out, or we can actually have the user type in like a city or something like that, and we can pull that information out. Once we have the place mark, we put that into a map item, and that's what we're going to be used to generate a route. Without this, we won't be able to do it, so you create a map item by putting it in the constructor with the place mark in it. The direction request is not actually getting the direction itself, but it's getting the request. So you're putting in the source and the destination and the type of transport, and here you'll see that I'm using walking for my running app, but you can use automobile or public transit for that as well. And so we just have to make sure that these 4 lines of code here, this actually creates the request itself. The directions, though, is the actual directions. It actually creates the route for you. As you can see here, we put in the request, and this is what we use from our last slide is request route. And this request route will make directions. This calculate function is what we use to calculate. It requires a tuple, and then if it actually is good to go and it actually says that this route is calculable with the type of transit, it will actually create routes, and it can create multiple routes, alternatives, but the first is going to be the fastest. In this route, it creates a lot of things. You can get instructions, which is the directions, or you can get the distance. And talking about that distance, we also need to create this map line, this blue line call, and then it's called a polyline. So it won't appear as soon as you create the request. You first have to add the poly, but on top of that, you actually have to put the overlay of it, and that's the function to the left. And this allows us to create a renderer and add the color, which is in case this is blue, and this will actually need to tell the size as well, or the width of the line. And once you do that, you actually have the route drawn out on the map view itself. And so that's the actual distance. To display the distance in the form of actual readable miles for the user or meters, you can use what we call a distance formatter. This actually takes the distance you want to calculate and returns it as a string of that distance in miles or in feet or whatever the actual distance is, which is going to be really handy, and which I'll be showing you in my app that I have generated for you guys. So if we go over to the app, here's the app. As you can see, that's the user's location of that little blue dot. That's kind of a little off the screen, but that blue line is the polyline right here. So right here, this is miles right here is the distance formatter, and that's half the distance of the selected miles used by the slider. As you can see, it's slightly off because my calculations isn't perfect yet, but as you can see, if I do slide this, it does disappear, and then it creates a new one, and it creates a new one. And so as you can see, I'm actually removing this polyline and this route and then adding a new one over it, and that's creating this route for my users. One downside to this, though, that I have found is there isn't actually a way to put audio to the directions that I have through the route steps, but I'm going to be happy looking into some other AV format foundation class to do that. But if anyone really wants to put a map in their app and to show their route and stuff like that, this is a great tool to have, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you can't need to use a map link, this is a really good thing to use. All right, well, have a good day.